I've asked you the question this morning, can people trust what you say? What would you say? So what can they trust you? I want you to imagine for a moment, if you will, that think back in a time in your life where someone has said they would do something for you. Someone has said, yes, I will do something for you, and what will happen? When someone says they'll do something for you, there's a sense, there's an air of excitement, there's an air of expectation, there's an air and a waiting that, oh man, yeah, they're doing something special for me. And just as you're imagining back into that time in life, I want you to imagine when someone they've made that thing that they're going to do something for you, and then they actually don't do it. There's a sense of being let down, a sense of anger, a sense of, well, why didn't they do what they said they would do? They made a promise that they would do something for me. Or do something with me. I don't know what you thought about, but I thought about a time in my life when I was engaged and that the promise was made that we would get married. There was a commitment, there was an oath given that yes, about this thing, about marriage. And then that oath, that commitment was broken, and the trust in that relationship was completely shattered. See, but the funny part is we think about the other person. We get frustrated when someone else lets us down on the promise they've made to us. But how about us in the promises that we make to other people? We do the same thing. We let other people down. See, we live in a society today where our words are cheap, our words are disposable, and our words don't actually mean what our words mean. It's okay to just flick off our words. It's okay. Move on. And so we do. We just move on and we don't think anything of it. That, well, I've made a promise or a commitment here to Julie, but that's okay. And I just move on to the next person. See, we often don't actually say what we really mean. We sort of say what the other person wants to hear rather than actually being upfront and honest or giving an oath or a commitment and being straightforward with our actual words. See, governments and politicians are classic at this. We're in the middle of an election campaign. They promise everything, and then after the election they break the promises, and they wonder why we become cynical and we won't trust them when they say what they'll do. I've been in New South Wales now 10 years, and I've heard the Parramatta to Epping rail link promised on 4 different occasions at 4 elections by state governments. And have they still delivered on it? No. Do I trust they'll deliver on it now they've promised it again in a federal election? No, not at all. That's right. And see, our words, there's something wrong. There is a problem with our words and the way and the language that we use. If you this morning, just turn with me to Matthew chapter 5. Jesus talks about this very subject, about our words and how our words have a meaning to them and have a sense of honour about them, but also they have a connected and an oath to them. And in Matthew 5, and you've got it, just call out. Verse 33. Matthew 5:33. Jesus says, "Again you have heard that it was said to the people long ago, do not break your oath, but keep the oaths you have made to the oaths you have made to the Lord. But I tell you, do not swear at all either by heaven, for it is God's throne, for by the earth, for it is the footstool, or by Jerusalem, for it is God's, the city of God, the great King. And do not swear by your head, for you cannot make even one hair white or black. Simply let your yes be yes, and your no, no. Anything beyond that comes from the evil one." See, we have an epidemic in our society today where we're not real or straight with our words when people talk to us. We actually manipulate our words. We manipulate our words. Someone may be talking to me and they'll go, "Well, yes, I'm actually coming along to this event." And then they talk to someone else, "Oh, no, I'm not, I've got to go to work." See, we manipulate our words depending on the situation we're in. And the problem is that Jesus identifies is that we swear all kinds of oaths in life. We make all kinds of statements. We lay it out there and we say, "Yeah, listen, I'm going to make a commitment that this is who I am or where I am and this is my word." See, what plays out in this passage is Jesus is talking to people who used oaths all the time. And they would come down and they would go and I would say, "Well, I'm going to buy Adrian's house off Adrian." I'll let Adrian stay there because I like Adrian and Adriana, but the girls, they're a bit of a worry. But you know, like I go to Adrian and I say, "I want to buy your house and I'll pay you $1 million for your house." Adriana, yes. But the oath that these people used to make when they used to buy something was that the oath was, "I swear on my God I will do this." I swear on my God that I will do this. And we make oaths when we used to swear all kinds of oaths. And see, when they swore those oaths, they were swearing on God's name. And Jesus in this says in about Exodus chapter 20, and he says in Exodus chapter 20, it's the third commandment of the 10 commandments where God gave Moses these. And he says, "Don't misuse the name of the Lord your God. For the Lord will not hold anyone guiltless who misuses his name." And they would make all kinds of promises on God's name, but when those promises got broken, who got the blame? God. God would get the blame. Because you swore on your God, so your God mustn't be that good that you didn't keep your promise. See, the problem for you and I is that we make promises that we can't keep. Or we make promises that we have no intention of keeping. It's just about manipulation. It's just that we make a promise so that it gets someone off our back, or we make a promise that we're not going to follow through on it. And then we sit there and we wonder why people won't actually, believe us. We have, in my family, we have a cousin, and my cousin would turn up every year to family functions, and as he would turn up to family functions, he would go to my dad, Uncle John, I'm gonna quit smoking. And I'll bet you, look, I can do this. I'll bet you $50 I can do this, Uncle John, guaranteed by next Christmas. And the next year would roll around again, and what had happened? Same thing, Uncle John, I'm going to quit smoking. But he'd never quit. And in the end, people would sit and just laugh at him and poke fun at him because there was no intention of keeping the promise, and he had no intention of keeping it, and he was just making promises that he couldn't keep. And people didn't believe him. And then just not about that one thing, they couldn't believe him. They couldn't believe him about anything else because there was a pattern of continued breaking of his oath, of his word. And it's a problem that we face again and again. See, the thing with God and Jesus is teaching these people, and he's saying about their oath and their word, and that your word is powerful. And when you use your word, but you use God's name in this process, you don't just damage your own name, you actually damage the name of God. God just gets the blame. And we're not straight with people often. And we're not straight with people. We actually make oaths and promises for a whole range of reasons. And some of them are just, we've got these things in our own mind. Sometimes we make a promise or we make an oath because we just don't want to lose face. We actually we make a promise, but we don't want to lose face ourselves. A church I was involved in, we were talking with a whole lot of young guys, and they were going, oh yes, I'm going to be at this ministry thing, I'm going to be at this ministry thing, I'm going to be at this ministry thing. And then, so they would say yes, but they actually had no intention of turning up. Find out later there's a party on they were going to. But they just say yes because they don't want to lose face. I want to say to you, and this is one critical thing about culture, especially cultures in this room today from Africa and Asia. We have such an ability that we don't want to lose face, that we would rather say yes and break our word rather than actually be upfront and honest. And God says that isn't good. God says, hey, listen, make a choice. You either want to follow me and actually live like you follow me, which means that you've got to be upfront, or you just want to hold your face all the time.